Hi guys, it's Lizzie and Christmas is here with me. And he's purring right now. But today I'm going to do a video about players. And by players, Christmas. And by players, I mean guys who are players. I don't think anyone really calls girls players. I think girls can be players, but in this video I'm going to talk about guys who are players, and I actually have my little notes paper here, and at the top I wrote players and then parentheses are jerks, because it's true, they are jerks. If you're a guy, please keep watching, because there are some guys who I've met that they act like players, but I don't think they're even aware that they're flirting and hitting on every single girl, and so you guys need to kind of be aware of this because it's obnoxious. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this video is because a lot of girls have been kind of messaging me with their problem, and then I'm like, okay, he's a player, I would kind of avoid him, and they're like, what's a player? And I'm like, legit? And so I'm going to kind of start from the top. A player is a guy who basically flirts with and leads on a bunch of girls. Usually the guy will have mostly girlfriends, not like a bunch of girlfriends, like he'll be friends with girls over guys, and I think that the types of guys who kind of become known as players have the same type of personality and the same type of character traits. I don't know how to explain it, but guys who are really energetic and confident and the kind of the popular jock type guys, those are the guys that tend to be very considered players. So a player will kind of do all the things that you would normally say go along with a guy liking you, only he doesn't like you, and he kind of does the same thing to every single girl. So let's say he hugs you a lot and he talks to you like just you and him, and he kind of laughs and smiles, and it's like he's in love with you, but then he goes over and he hugs other girls and he does the same thing to them. And it can be kind of painful if you're dealing with that, if you really like him and he kind of is just flirting with all these girls, and you can get really jealous too. So when I kind of establish that a guy's a player, I kind of put him on my do not put your heart with him list. And I generally attempt to not fall in love with them. But the problem is that usually we're finding out that they're a player after we like them, so it's a little late. Okay, so if you are a girl watching this and you like a guy who is a player and you've seen him kind of flirt with other girls and other people have maybe called him that, you could be different, because I think that those types of guys, they kind of unintentionally flirt with everyone. It's kind of intuitive to them. I think that they know that they're being a player, but then they kind of aren't intentionally trying to hurt you. So they might like you over the other girls, and so you can try to interpret if they do special things to you. Like, let's say he tells you that you're like his favorite girl and that you're really pretty. Well, he might say that to 5 other girls, but you kind of need to find out. So what you can do is become friends with the girls who are kind of he's really close friends with. If you're a guy and you're a player, I think that you can become biffles with a bunch of girls, and you can hug girls and you can talk to them, you can joke with them without leading them on that you like them. I think there's a clear distinction between being an epic friend and being a guy who's hitting on them. And when you don't make that distinction, you are hurting us, and it's not cool at all, because you're sending these mixed signals, and it's going to end up hurting you in the end, because then girls are going to know you as a player and they're not going to want to settle down and have a relationship with you. So instead you're just going to be that guy who's always flirting with the girls and never actually getting a girl. So it's really not a positive thing to be a player on the side of the player guy or on the side of the girl who likes the guy who's a player. So then there are some guys who, they're not really the popular jock type guy. They're kind of a weird, maybe not a nerd, just kind of like not a popular jerk, not a popular jerk jock. They're not a popular jerk jock. They're kind of another type of guy, and it's kind of awkward because they keep hitting on you, and you think they like you and you don't like them, and it's super awkward, and you're like, oh no, I just want to be friends with you. We would not be good going out. That'd be weird. Sometimes, like, I think a guy's hitting on me, and I talk to my friends about it, and they're like, he's hitting on me too, and I'm like, what? And I think that's when the guy isn't really certain, he's not really sure, he's not aware of the fact that he's being a player. And if you're one of those guys, then I will tell you some signs that you are hitting on girls and that it's really obvious and obnoxious. Number one, if you hug girls a lot. Some people you hug a lot when you meet them, but when you have to hug them, like, every time you see them, like, let's say you go to school and there's a guy who, okay, true story, there's this guy at my school and he's a sophomore and he has to hug me every single chance he gets. Like, I'll be at school and he'll want to hug me like 5 times during the day. No, that's not cool. I'm not that close to you. I don't hug my best friends 5 times a day. I don't need to hug you 5 times a day. I barely know you. So if you're hugging a girl who you're not really, like, you don't know very well yet, then just stop, because it's verging on creepy and you're going to make it seem like you're hitting on them and that you're a player. And you do not want that reputation. So you can kind of interpret if they want to hug you or not if they're hugging you back. This is like one of the things I was doing to this guy and he just did not get it. Like, I had textbooks I was carrying and he's like, do you want to hug me? I'm like, no, I have so much stuff in my hands. I.e., I don't want to hug you. And then another time, I kind of just, like, when he hugged me, I just put my arms down like that and let him hug me. I didn't, like, hug him. So if they're not, like, hugging you back, then stop doing that and stop hitting on them, because okay, this is the thing. If you don't like them and then you're unintentionally hitting on them and other girls, that's just weird and that just really, really needs to stop. And that is kind of what the unintentional player is, the guy who he's kind of innocent in being a player. And I forgive those guys over the popular jerk guys who know exactly what they're doing. One of the things that I told one of the girls that was messaging what she should do, I'm like, play him back. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know. To me, it's kind of intuitive. So if you are super talented and you kind of were falling for this guy and then you realized that he was such a player jerk and that he kind of plays with a bunch of other girls and you just now found this out and you kind of didn't see it before, what you can do is kind of give him a taste of his own medicine, because guys like this, they just do not get it, and I feel like they're never going to mature and settle down into a relationship, but it really bothers me. So what you can do is kind of play them back. Like, sometimes act like you don't care about them, and other times act like you're in love with them. Like, sometimes when they hug you, just be like, when they're like, hi, or whatever, be like, oh, hey. And then other times you can be like, oh my gosh, hi. So kind of give them mixed signals too. And I guess that's kind of a mean thing, and I would really only do that if a guy had kind of hurt me a little bit. I think that's mean though, but I would do that. But that's how you kind of play a guy back. You just do the same stuff. So, and also, so like, let's say you would just hug him, then you can go flirt with other guys when he's around, just so you know, so he can kind of get a taste of his own medicine, because guys like that completely deserve it, and they need to realize that what they're doing is not cool to us as girls. Another thing that you may see as a certain sign that the guy you like is a player, and you might be like, he's a player, but you might actually be wrong. And I actually was reading this on this LizziesAnswers or something, and I was like, what? But some guys, and if you are a guy and you actually do this, comment below, because I was really shocked when I read this. But anyways, some guys will flirt with other girls in the room when they're around, when the girl they like is in the room, to see if she gives a jealous reaction. Isn't that horrible? I don't like that. But some guys will do that. So if the guy you like is flirting with other girls, he might just want to see if you are getting a jealous reaction to it. And so ways you can kind of see that is if after, when he's flirting with the girls, if he's like looking at you or whatever, or if right when you leave he stops. Like, let's say you're in a room, you're in the classroom, and it's one of those classes where you can just walk around, like it's like an elective class or whatever, or like PE. And then kind of when you go over somewhere else, look back. And if he stops flirting with them, then maybe he's just trying to test you to see if you like him. So guys are really kind of strange in how they act. Like, very strange. I don't understand it. But anyways, I do understand that how to distinguish a player, in that he'll flirt with a bunch of other girls and he'll lead on a bunch of other girls. And I think that some people kind of understand that and are okay with the guy kind of flirting with them like that. Like having a flirtatious friendship, some people are okay with that and they kind of have it from both sides. But if you kind of like the guy in the past and you want to continue being friends with him, the only way it's kind of going to work is if you kind of play him too when you kind of have that flirtatious fake relationship. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think that if you go through it, then you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So I hope this was very informative, and then now you guys know if you are a player or not, and that you stop being a player because it's obnoxious. And if you're a girl, then you know how to recognize if a guy is a player. And if a guy is a player, don't get your heart involved with him because it's not going to end well. It's just going to kind of be heartbreaking to you. But if you really, really like him, then why not? And I think that since we're like really young right now, it's kind of the time to like experiment and kind of go for it with love. So if you're willing to kind of risk that kind of heartbreak, then go for it. But I personally, if I knew a guy was a player, I would kind of like take that as a sign and kind of avoid him. But it all kind of depends on how much you like him and your emotional state and all that. So I hope you guys like this video, and I hope you guys will subscribe if you haven't already. Also, add me as a friend. I have like 300 some subscribers and only 100 some friends. Like, I want to be your friend. If you subscribe to me, I'm your friend. So add me as a friend. Okay guys, bye.